Yes, but what about Mars?
So what? I mean, I'm just curious. What do you think is going to happen? Are they going to do it? Do you think they'll actually launch?
No, I don't think so. Sorry, I don't think they'll launch. No. I mean, I love the guy, boss, but you know, he plans to go to Mars for $4 billion US. And I'll just tell you, you can't. The Air Force can't brush its spy satellite teeth for $4 billion. You guys, it's just not enough money. And the plan is to get all the support from commercial ventures. And you, Steve, you think you knew the number last night? The first person to die is estimated at 58 days or something.
Yeah, but that depends on if you go by. That was the MIT report.
MIT,
Yeah, but that's if they do things a certain way, they don't have to do it that way.
So if you go one way to Mars, look, you guys, everybody, we're in New York State, okay? And it's lovely here. It's about to be spring. The crocuses are croaking. The daffodils are dilling, and it's all cool. I was in a store yesterday where there's just a very narrow space between two huge stone buildings, and there were birds chirping away. Spring.
The forsythia or scything. It's a forsythia or
So the forsythias are sitting, yeah. As is so often the case, I was running my mouth and did not exactly hear exactly what you said. Sorry. It was brilliant. The forsythias are sitting. So, but blossoms do blossom. Along that line.
We're talking about the Mars.
Yeah. Have you ever, you know the state motto of California? Does anybody know?
Isn't it? Yeah, man.
Might be. Anyway, it's Eureka. I found it.
Oh, awesome.
So these European settlers come over the hill, you know, and orange trees at this point are like weeds. And you go to some place like the Sacramento River, and there's salmon as big as this table swimming up, and all the protein you'd ever want. And it gets to the point, California is so out of hand that freaking rocks are made of gold. That's how crazy it got. Anyway, if you go to Mars, anybody, it's not like that. No! I mean, there's no liquid water, and people tell, oh, do some in situ resource utilization. It's a mystery. Yeah. Just take a nuclear reactor up there, volatilize some Martian rocks, extract some oxygen, and then we'll be set. We escape. Yes, with our nuclear reactor that we put on the spaceship that we have. And then
Successfully landed on this Earth.
yeah, successfully landed. And there's no protein, you know, swimming around. There's no vitamin C falling on trees. And you guys, as soon as you open the door, you're going to notice you can't breathe. I mean, you can't breathe. There's no air. Like, it's a different model. Okay? A model is a modern word for whole approach, deal, thing, system, everything. You're going to say something.
We're talking about how $4 billion isn't enough to do this. Do you think there is a dollar value that you could put on it, which it would become possible?
I noticed I did not cue this. We did not prepare anything. So the planetary side just sponsored a workshop. You know, we didn't build anything. I mean, you go to a workshop and you make stuff. Change the oil. No, we didn't do anything, but change the oil.
Is that how you say that, though?
Well,
when the light comes on in your car and you know it's time to go, you walk in and go, yes, I'd like some, please. What can I do for you today?
well, I can change the oil.
Just give it to me once, goddamn.
Change the oil. The problem that we have with me is sort of what you see is what you get. You know? So I probably do say, change the oil, it's cool. But I, living in New York, I don't need a car, so that's a big step. But I've been around cars, changed the oil. That aside, just on Mars, it's a very inhospitable place, and I want everybody to kind of think about this. You know, we, all the guys here on stage, first of all, are guys, second of all, European descent. And so these people came from Europe and they went across North America and doing stuff. And the people that lived in North America, first of all, they came from Asia and just started killing every mammal they could find. And went all the way, killed all the birds, killed everything. And this pioneering spirit, live off the land, I guess it's admirable. But you're not going to be able to do that forever. Earth is kind of it. There is no place more hospitable. You go to elementary schools and it's fun. You say, what's your favorite planet? And a lot of people will still say, Pluto! Which is fun. Pluto people didn't get it this way. But for me, what's your favorite planet? It's Earth. I mean, all the way. All my friends are here. So I grew up. My neighborhoods are here. If it's Earth versus Saturn in the solar system cup or whatever, I'm Earth, man. It's just how it is. And so I think people are going to have to soon think differently about the Earth. We're not going to be able just to all get on spaceships and go to another planet. Well, you're going to have to in 4 billion years. 4 billion years. That's a ways off, then, isn't it? Yeah. Will humans look like humans? Probably not. Very troubling. So
do you think that we should be focusing the money on different goals? Or now, I remember didn't Neil deGrasse Tyson at TAM a few years ago tell you like boots on the ground very dramatically? And I remember that moment on stage. I mean, where do you
I
stand?
want boots on the ground on Mars. Yeah.
But just for a visit.
Yes, to have a look around, look for signs of water and life. Everybody. If we were to discover life on another world, it would change this world. No, I mean, if we found there were evidence of bacterial mats with stromatolites on Mars, it would change the course of history. It'd be like Copernicus or Galileo or one of those guys, right? It would change the way everybody thinks about everything. There's a picture, for those of you listening on the radio, there's a picture on the radio is kind of an older term. On the electric computer. We have a picture of Enceladus, which is a moon of Jupiter. And it has icy cracks, has an icy crust because the surface is exposed to the icy blackness of space. Actually, they change Europa. They say Europa.
It's not Europa.
Europa, what did I say? Enceladus. I did say Jupiter, but Enceladus is a moon of Saturn. They're not unrelated, Bill. Get your head in the game. On the moon of Saturn, Enceladus, people discovered these plumes, these geysers squirting into space. So it is presumed, there is some evidence based on Hubble Space Telescope observations that there are similar plumes above the surface of this little picture here above us. Europa, which is the moon of Jupiter. Now, Europa has twice as much seawater as the Earth, or it might have a little more than that. And the surface is icy because it's exposed to the blackness of space, 3 Kelvin above absolute zero. But below that, because of the gravitational squeezing of its 25 Earth-hour orbit around Jupiter, there's liquid water, liquid seawater. If there's been seawater someplace for 4.5 billion years, we just changed the world to find living things in it.
So you're saying that the planet is just in that outer space?
It's very reasonable, yeah. And so is it, because Enceladus is, so it's reasonable that Europa is. So are there Europanians swimming around? And do they have grim jokes in Europanian talk? Like, I hope I don't swim near that crack in the ice and turn it out of space.
Wouldn't it be cool if wouldn't it be cool though if one of the other planets in our solar system seeded the Earth?
Well, this is the coolest thing ever. So if you can go to Mars with the right explorers, and poke around with your rock hammer and your hand lens and your microscope or whatever it is, and you found something still alive, some microbe, some Mars probe, does it have DNA? That's the question. And so then Mars was for sure hit with something very large and impact for about 3 billion years ago, when substantial pieces of Mars were tossed into outer space. And woo, except in outer space, these things came to the Earth. You can buy Mars rocks if you're into it, little ones. And so it is not crazy. It's extraordinary, but not crazy. to suggest that life started on Mars, if you're all descendants of Mars.
Yeah, it's actually the reason I happen to have, one that you thought is the one to talk about. I mean, to give us a quick summary of it, we'll get your opinion. NASA is pretty optimistic that this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, so there was a panel this past week in Washington, I'm not sure if you saw it, but a lot of interesting things came out of that panel. Ellen Stillman is the chief scientist for NASA. Here's what she said. I mean, she basically said that we're going to find alien life in 10 to 20 years. She's not talking about intelligent life, of course. She's talking about microbial life. Here's exactly what she said. I believe we're going to have strong indications of life beyond Earth in the next decade and definitive evidence in the next 10 to 20 years. We know where to look, we know how to look, and in most cases we have the technology.
10 to 20 is not, 20 is pretty reasonable, 10's optimistic.
Yeah.
But Alan Stofan is a big friend of the Planetary Society. So, and we found out together. And this is pretty cool. But the deal is, just historically, talking some more about me, I took, when I was the vice president of the board of directors of Planetary Society, I took, let's say, 10,000 postcards to congressional officers, Rohrabacher and the mythic Barbara Mikulski, petitioning for a mission to Pluto. And in 2006, New Horizons, that was the year 2000. In 2006, New Horizons was launched. And this summer, July 14th, Bastille Day, New Horizons will fly by Pluto. We'll have pictures of freaking Pluto. That's 9 years after it launched. All right, that's for one thing. Then the Planetary Society has been petitioning for a couple of years now to get a mission to Europa. And it's nominally called the Europa Clipper. And this is a class of missions funded by NASA at about $600 million. And we will go out there, and people are debating exactly what we're going to do, but fly through what we believe are these plumes. Now you're going at super fast spacecraft speeds, but just spiritually, can you imagine like just flying through the plume, this geyser, if it's there, and then counting flies on the windshield? You know, wouldn't it just be just freaking amazing? I mean, it may not be so easy to do, but it's a cool idea. And it would change the world. If you had some sort of aerogel, you know, this ballistic stuff, you shoot stuff into it and it absorbs the energy, and you could find some European microbe, it would be Copernicus, Galileo would be, hey, Bill, you know the Pope accepts evolution, isn't that great? Yeah, yes, that's good, yeah. Now what? There's life in the world, nothing like ours.
Well, interesting you bring that up because the Discovery Institute, or the DISCO team, as I like to call it, on their blog, wrote a response to NASA saying, well, you know, even if we discover microbial life on Mars, that doesn't mean that evolution is true. Because it's possible, actually invoke your point, it's possible that life from Earth seeded Mars, and then we're just seeing Earthians, you know, who are transplanted to Mars. Yeah.
But the mechanism isn't the same.
Well, this is the point.
Oh, that.
He doesn't even, the question still would be, well, before you say that Earth microbes seeded Mars, and so it's not an independent evolution, let's find out if the critters have DNA, right? Let's find out what their biochemistry is, and what their genetics are, and if they're different enough, they might have a completely different genetic code.
Which would just be wacky. It would be the second Genesis. Right?
And if it's the same, that would be bad.
Oh, it's all
right.
right.
So we would find. You can have a triple beam.
Right, that's right. Yes. And then they have 3 sexes.
Lucky
like,
group.
another major league or something. So, you guys, in 100 years, people will probably know, almost certainly know, whether there's life on Earth, whether there's life on Mars, or evidence of life on Mars. But we are living at that moment when we could find out. So along this line, last week, at the same time that the NASA Advisory Council, the NAC, noticed that the N in NAC is in turn an acronym. It's an acronym within an acronym. What could go wrong? Why are things over budget? Anyway, at the NECSS Advisory Council, they asked about a workshop that the Monetary Society had, where we brought in 70 people who are experts on rocket science and planetary science, planetary geology, and exploration. These are the real deal people. And we saw a presentation which is very compelling, that we could, if just adjusting the NASA budget for inflation, you could send an orbital mission to Mars in 2033. And 2033 is not an arbitrary number. You can only go to Mars every 26 months because of the orbits of Earth and Mars. And every once in a while, Mars and Earth are just a little closer than they are because the orbits aren't quite round, they're ellipses. And so 2033 is a real good.
That is significant, like that little bit of closeness actually.
It just lowers the price of fuel and time. And, you know, people are going to have to spend 200 days in space breathing and riding bicycles to nowhere, and perhaps most importantly, getting along. You know, for 200 days, look at the trouble we had.
Yeah.
So, the thing is that people believe that the bone marrow loss, bone calcium loss has been addressed by drugs and a regimen of exercise. And people believe that they are pretty close, if you throw a little more money at just to recycling all the water, not to creep you out. But the human waste would be used again, like dinosaur spit. And it would be really an extraordinary mission. And I remind everybody what, in fact, the Apollo 8 photograph had, if you don't know the Earthrise photos, really something. We really saw the Earth for the first time in space. It'll be right up to Mars. It'll be amazing.
Real quick, am I overconfident on this? Because to me, it seems like it's a no-brainer on these moons. You've got tidal forces creating a water environment. You've got minerals. You've got billions of years. Isn't it? How confident are you that there's microbial life there? And if you're as confident as I am, why the hell couldn't we make this a top priority? Because it would be the discovery of the millennium.
You should join the Planetary Society. So this is what we do. We go to the U.S. Congress especially and say, come on, this could change the world. And here's, to me, a fascinating thing about human nature. The two people who really support this in the U.S. government are Adam Schiff, who represents Caltech, and then in turn the Jet Propulsion, where they make, the word lab, I don't know if you guys have been, it's a factory where they make one-of-a-kind spaceship things. It's very cool. And then it's where they built the Mars rover and stuff. And then the other guy, who's just a huge fan of this, is John Culberson, who's from a congressional district just north of Houston. And I've been in his office. He has the Bible right there. He talks about his relationship, his faith, his relationship to God all the time. And in the same paragraph, is absolute certainty that there is life on Europa. And he strongly believes that he can be among the few leaders who make sure we get a mission to Europa done. It brings these two guys together who are politically apart on everything else. And it's just one more thing about space exploration that I just find so wonderful. It brings us together, brings out the best guys.
Yeah.
But man, you hit the nail on the head. It would change the course of history for $600 million. Let's go. Let's go. That's a morning in Iraq. You know?
And you start to think about that, and it's crazy. Yeah. I'm going to bring things in a little bit to the moon. You're going to tell us about now. You're going to tell us about lava tubes on the moon.
Oh. Yeah, this was actually a bit of a disappointment to me because it seems like in the future we may never see a moon-based alpha on the lunar surface. How many people have any idea what we're talking about? But what I mean is that scientists are claiming that they have some good research to show that there may actually be on the moon lunar lava tubes that are big enough to hold an entire city, even as big enough to hold a quarter of the city we're in right now. So that's pretty amazing. So why do they even believe this? What led them to believe that? And first off, was there even volcanism on the moon? And yeah, clearly there was. I mean, the Maria on the moon are those dark spots or flooded lava plains. Also, there's a geological feature on the moon called sinuous rills. You see that picture? So you can see that towards the middle there. And that's basically a channel that often leads away from extinct volcanoes where lava flows. Water, of course, water would never flow.
So
on the moon,
were
it's
they,
never there.
is this picture strictly a volcano, or is it where the lunar surface was heated up very, real hot by an impact?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think we talked about it maybe a year ago about the fact that that's a very specific question. There was some evidence that maybe all of the Maria and what you previously thought were due to almost entirely to impacts may have in fact been caused by primitive lunar volcanism.
So the thing was so hot. How hot was it? It was so hot, it got a crust, and then there was enough moonquake to squirt volcanoes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, there definitely, I mean, it did cool very rapidly, but there was a period where there was definitely magma down there that came up for whatever reason, and either a volcano or it could be crater experience.
So anyway, what you're talking about, we'll have a big cave, we'll all live on a cave.
Right.
Are you saying that we pressurize it, maybe put atmosphere in there?
Well, no, well, sure, I mean, what they did was,
Excuse me, oh, sure.
that is one of the outside, yeah, that is one of the outside possibilities. I think it's conceivable that you could pressurize these things, but that's not even the big advantage. The big advantage is you can save from micrometeoroids, you can save from solar and cosmic rays. The temperature shifts are huge day to night. So those are the big ones right there. The pressurizing, who knows? It may be possible. But the point is that these are so stable based on these calculations. And the way they went about it was kind of interesting. They looked at the lunar rocks, they looked at the lunar environment, and they plugged that information into their civil engineering technology that we have today on Earth, the big tunnels. And they found out that these things can be incredibly stable up to, say, 5,000 meters. And one quote here from David Blair, who's a graduate at Purdue, he said, "We found that if lunar lava tubes existed with a strong arched shape like those on the Earth, they would be stable at sizes up to 5,000 meters or several miles wide on the moon." Now, this can never happen on the Earth, obviously, because the gravity is much more intense and we've got the weathering, which doesn't exist on the moon, but it could potentially exist on the moon. So this is pretty cool. I think it's definitely worth pursuing.
So we definitely want to build underground, either on the moon or on Mars, for all the reasons I stated. And this says, well, maybe there's some pre-existing communities.
So you guys, what is your model? What is your idea of this moon base?
Well, I mean, even if we get there with pretty small and pre-built, habitats, get them under the ground somehow.
Are they gonna have wheels in them that you run on?
That's
Have a trail.
So, yeah, it's possible. Or we build them in the tunnel. If we have.
Anyway, the model to me for this is Antarctica.
What?
Antarctica, where we have a base of scientists. And it takes a lot of support to keep it going, to keep it comfortable for people there. And I think nowadays, just going to the moon to set up a tent and camp out is really hard.
Absolutely. We would need a fleshed out Earth movement.
Well, plus it's isn't paid for. Of course, all the money spent in space is actually spent on Earth.
But if there were huge caverns in the Antarctic, do you think we would make use of that? If they were already there, and as soon as you go down there, they would be a little bit more.
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable.
Right. So that's kind of the idea. And who knows how long it's going to take advantage of this, but I think it's worth exploring. So I'll end then saying that I don't think we may never see a moon base out on the surface, but hopefully we will still see those eco transports.
They were,
The guy who built those models, he did 2001: A Space Odyssey. He did the ships on space.
oh, no, right, yeah. That was the article, by the way. Bill, you mind if I ask you a non-astronomy related question?
No, you just did. Go ahead, yes.
All right. So my listeners would eviscerate me if I didn't ask you this question. You probably know what's coming.
I probably do.
So you famously were
Eviscerate.
virtually, virtual sense.